students, welcome to this lesson. This is Geography for Grade 9 revision program. In the previous lesson, we have seen the major elements of weather and climate, the composition of the Earth's atmosphere, such as gases, water droplets, dust particles. These are collectively known as aerosols. We have seen also the four layers of the Earth's atmosphere: troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere, and thermosphere. We also discussed the difference between weather and climate. Climate is the average all-weather condition for a long period of time. It's about for 30 years, whereas weather is the atmospheric condition for a short period of time. We also discussed the major elements of weather and climate: temperature and rainfall. Temperature is the hotness and the coldness of an object. There is an instrument to measure temperature known as thermometer. We have seen the maximum and the minimum thermometer. The maximum thermometer helps to record the highest temperature reached in a day, but the minimum thermometer helps to record the lowest temperature attained in a day. We also discussed on the three types of rainfall: convectional rainfall, orographic rainfall, cyclonic or frontal rainfall. Convectional rainfall occurs when the surface ground heated by the sun, the moisture also heated, and it changes into vapor, becomes cool and condense, form cloud, then it falls as the rainfall. Orographic rainfall formed when the moist air forced to rise over the mountain, it becomes cool and condense, form cloud, then it falls as the rainfall. Cyclonic or frontal rainfall formed when the two air masses meet together, but they don't mix freely. They stay separately in a boundary, which means the warm or the less denser air rises over the cooler and the denser air mass. It became cool and condensed, form cloud, then it falls as the rainfall. The place where the warm and the cool air mass meet together called front. Cyclonic or frontal rainfall common in the middle and high latitude regions. This is all about in the previous lesson. Today we are going to discuss the other elements of weather and climate: pressure, wind, and cloud. And at the end of this lesson, we will define terms, explain the major determinant factor for the distribution of pressure, and finally we will also state the types of surface winds. Students, are you ready to start the lesson? Good. The air around us has weight. This weight exerts pressure known as atmospheric pressure. Atmospheric pressure is not the same all over the Earth's surface. Even it's not the same in one place all the time. For instance, the atmospheric pressure of morning may differ with the atmospheric pressure of afternoon or evening pressure of a place. There is an instrument to measure atmospheric pressure known as barometer. The normal atmospheric pressure of a place may reach about 760 millimeter. The distribution of pressure depends on altitude and temperature. When altitude increase, pressure decrease, or pressure decrease with an increasing of altitude. Similarly, when the temperature high, the air expand, then the density and the pressure decrease. But when the temperature low, the air contract, then the density and the pressure becomes high. Pressure distribution can be shown on a map. There are lines on the map which connect all places having the same pressure. These lines are known as isobar lines. Let's see the global pressure belt regions of the world. This is the global pressure belt, 90° north and 90° south, known as the frigid zone. In this region, there is high pressure because, based on the above lesson, when the temperature low, the air contracts, then the density and the pressure becomes high. The other one is subpolar low pressure regions. These regions are located 60° up to 65° north and south The other one is tropical high pressure belt or the horst latitude region. These regions are located or found 30 degree up to 35 degree north and south. In this region, there is high pressure because pressure depends on the rotation and the movement of air. Wind blow from the doldrum or the equatorial low pressure area rises and accumulated here in the subtropical high pressure or the horst latitude region. The other one is the equatorial low pressure belt or the doldrum. This region located 5 degree north and south of the equator. The last one is polar high region. This region located nearly north and south pole. In this region, there is high permanent pressure known as polar highs. The pressure distribution is not in a continuous belt, which means they move north and southwards depend on the apparent movement of the sun. For instance, during northern hemisphere summer, the sun overhead north of the equator. Due to this, the pressure belt shifts by few degrees from their average position. During southern hemisphere summer, the sun overhead south of the equator. As a result, the pressure belt shifts southwards by few degrees from their average position. Wind is also another element of weather and climate. Students, I think you have learned about wind in your lower grade level. Do you remember what a wind means by? Good. Wind is a moving air. It has a horizontal motion. It also has a speed and direction. There are forces which affect wind speed and wind direction. These are pressure gradient, frictional force, and Coriolis forces are the force which affect wind speed and wind direction. The difference in distance between isobar lines are pressure gradients. As you have seen on the above lesson, isobar lines are lines on the map which connect all places having the same pressure. So, if the isobar lines closely spaced, we can conclude that there is high pressure gradient or the wind speed to be high. Let us see these lines of isobar. These closely spaced isobar lines show that there is high pressure gradient or the wind speed to be high. On the contrary, these widely spaced isobar lines indicate that the occurrence of light normal winds. Wind speed is measured by an instrument known as anemometer. Winds are named based on the compass direction of their sources. Basically, winds are measured based on their sources or the direction from where winds come from. For instance, southerly winds come from south, blow to the north. Northerly winds come from north, blow to the south. Wind direction is measured by an instrument known as wind vane. Strong winds affect the aviation service. It also affects the design and the location of different houses. Let's proceed to the deflection of wind. Because of the Earth's rotation and the direction of wind blow may not be at right angle to the isobar lines. Instead of that, slanting to them. Based on the above lesson, frictional force is one of the forces which affects the direction or the speed of wind. So, it is the cause for the deflection of wind. The speed of wind also one of the causes which affect the amount of deflection. The deflection of wind in the northern hemisphere differ with the southern hemisphere. As you can see from this picture, the deflection of wind in the northern hemisphere to the right, but in the southern hemisphere it deflects to the left. Let's proceed to the types of wind. There are three types of wind: planetary winds, monsoon winds, local winds. Let's first discuss about planetary winds. Planetary winds are wind which cover a larger area of the Earth's surface. It is closely associated to the global pressure belt. Normally, Normally, winds blow from high pressure area to the lower pressure area. The most common planetary winds are trade winds, westerly winds, and easterly winds. All of them are found in the northern and in the southern hemisphere. Monsoon winds are also another wind type. It occurs seasonally, controlled by pressure that differ during different seasons between summer and winter season. The monsoon winds are common in the South and Southeast Asia. The seasonal change in the direction of wind caused by unequal heating between land and water. So the monsoon wind direction change between summer and winter season. Local wind also another wind type. It is the wind type cover smaller area of the Earth's surface, occur for a short period of time. Local winds are caused by the nature of the physical features of the area. The main local winds are land and sea breeze, mountain and valley breeze. Let's first discuss on the land and sea breeze. Land and sea breeze are common in the coastal region. These winds are change their direction daily. For instance, during daytime, the land is warmer than, or the temperature of the land is higher than water bodies. And low pressure occurred on the land, high pressure formed on the sea. At this time, wind blow from sea to the land, and we call this sea breeze. Let's see this picture. During daytime, both land and water bodies receive temperature or heat from the sun. But due to its nature, the land quickly warmer than water bodies or seas. As a result, low pressure formed on the land, high pressure occurred on the sea. Based on the above lesson, wind blow from higher pressure area to the lower pressure area. At this time, wind blow from the sea to the land, and we call this sea breeze. But at night, the land is cooler than water bodies because it loses its temperature quickly than water body or sea. As a result, low pressure formed on the sea, high pressure formed on the land. Now, wind blow from land to the sea. We call this land breeze. Let's proceed to mountain and valley breeze. During daytime, at the bottom of the valley, the temperature is higher and it rises over the slope of the mountain. We call this valley breeze. But at night, the wind over the slope of the mountain cool. This cooler and heavier air of the mountain down to the slope of the valley, we call this mountain breeze. This mountain and valley breeze, the result of difference in temperature between night and day. Cloud also another elements of weather and climate. Clouds are formed by the condensation of water vapor below the dew point in the atmosphere. There are different types of cloud depend on their shape, height and appearance. So they divided into 3 levels: high level clouds, middle level clouds and lower level clouds. The high level clouds are cirrocumulus, cirrus, cirrostratus. These are found up to 13 kilometers above the sea level. But according to your textbook, it's greater than 6,000 meters. The middle level clouds are altocumulus, altostratus, and nimbocumulus are the middle level clouds. They are found up to 7 kilometers above the sea level. The low level clouds are cirrus, cumulus, cumulonimbus are the low level clouds found up to 2,000 meters or 2 kilometers above the sea levels. Students, this is all about for today. Now, try to perform these activities based on the discussion. You have a few minutes. Welcome back, students. Did you perform all the activities correctly? Well done. Let's check your answers together. Altitude and temperature are the major factors which determine the distribution of pressure. When altitude increases, pressure decreases, or pressure decreases with an increasing of altitude. Temperature also affects the distribution of pressure. When the temperature high, the density and the pressure became low. But when the temperature low, the density and the pressure becomes high. We have seen also the three types of wind: planetary winds, monsoon winds, and local winds are the three types of winds. Planetary winds cover a larger area of the Earth's surface, but local winds cover a smaller area of the Earth's surface, and it affects a small scale area of the atmospheric condition. Monsoon winds are seasonal winds, occur seasonally, and these winds are common in the south and southeast of Asia. The difference between land and sea breeze is during daytime, the land temperature is higher than the water or sea temperature. This is because the land is quickly warmer than the water bodies. As a result, low pressure formed on the land, high pressure occur on the sea. Now wind blow from the sea to the land, we call this sea breeze. But at night, the land is cooler than water bodies or sea. As a result, low pressure formed on the sea, high pressure formed on the land. Now wind blow from the land to the sea, we call this land breeze. Students, this is all about for today. We have seen the elements of weather and climate: pressure, wind, and cloud, and the different types of wind: planetary winds, monsoon winds, and local winds, and the difference between them. The major determinant factor for the distribution of pressure: altitude and temperature. We have seen also the main elements of local winds: land and sea breeze, mountain and valley breeze. For next program, we will discuss on the controlling factor of weather and climate. Until then, goodbye, students.